All right. Well, Oregon has decided that students do not need to be proficient in reading, writing, and math in order to graduate high school. So what do you do to graduate high school in Oregon? You just show up, I guess. Probably that's not even a requirement. The Board of Education unanimously voted to extend a pause on graduation requirements that were put in place during the pandemic. Watch how this news is reported.
For the next 5 years, high school students in Oregon will not need to perform proficiency tests showing mastery of reading, writing, or math in order to graduate. And this comes as the Oregon Board of Education unanimously voted to extend a pause on the graduation requirement yesterday until 2028. They're citing inefficiency and inequity. Joelle Jones going beyond the headlines tonight to find out what this pause will mean for students.
This is a controversial decision and one that's facing a lot of pushback. While some say the decision will lower state standards and cheapen an Oregon diploma, the Oregon Department of Education tells me this policy simply didn't work and disproportionately harmed students of color.
Okay, so this is what Douglas Murray calls teaching to the slowest kid in the class. What will happen to us all if we lower not only a commitment to excellence, but a commitment to the minimum? We're not saying we no longer have this high standard. We're saying now we have no standard. That's terrifying. We're not talking about... Go ahead, please.
This is the nucleus of the movie Idiocracy. It's like these are the decisions they started making before humanity fell to being completely, idiots, complete idiots. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's like, think about it. If there's like, this affects people of color, instead of saying what we should do is help them more and all that. But no, let's just, if it affects people of color, let's just, take it down to the lowest common denominator and let everybody graduate without. That just makes no sense to me.
Let's figure out exactly, why are they slower? Why are they not doing as well in math?
Well, there is a lot of research about why. I'm going to talk about it later. But we're basically telling them you cannot be expected, right? And anyone else who has done well, who is a student of color or low income, is just some kind of superhero. And that's probably not you. So you should not try. Now, we're not talking about competing with China or Japan or Russia right now. In fact, though, did you know that wealthier parents in the United States are paying extra so that their children take Russian math? This is now a new explosion in popularity is this Russian math. Here's the Wall Street Journal in February saying how Russian math became a must-have extracurricular for overreaching students. Now, this is because we have realized that our own educational system is so substandard that we have to look at how other countries continue to have a commitment to excellence because we can't trust what our system has now. In fact, whereas there is a commitment to excellence in Russia, we have none, right? We're saying no commitment to excellence, no commitment to anything. Many of these U.S. parents are just tired of the politics of education, and they want their kids to have a solid education of topics without a discussion about whether or not you can absorb those topics based on your skin color. Now, this revives the affirmative action argument. The Supreme Court just this summer struck down affirmative action this summer, and liberals framed this as a way that disadvantages people of color, like they cannot succeed without these leg ups. I like this take on it. This person on X is saying, well, now the most privileged MFers, I blacked that out for you, on the planet has decided that historically disadvantaged people. Oh, I didn't. I left one F.
You
Sorry.
left one F.
I noticed that. I was like,
you're like, did you? I just took out one. We're light on the Fs today. One of two Fs. Okay, so I'm scoring low at copy editing. And this person below saying no person of color will be able to succeed in a merit-based system is not the flex you think it is. Meaning, you're not really showing yourself compassionate. You're showing yourself that you have racism against expectations, right? This is what we call, what is it called? The bigotry of low expectations.
Right.
When you say to people oh, you can't handle it, poor you, we're just going to lower the standards for you so you can get by. What liberal places have collectively decided is that being compassionate means letting people rot and become slugs and never inspire to do best. It means telling other people who are different than you that they're too dumb to meet the standards that you should be able to meet. Like, oh, this is for me, you poor little person of color. It's not for you. You run along and drink a Gatorade and you wouldn't understand this, right? That's racism at its core. And again, I concede that a lot more opportunities for academic success come from parents who can pay for SAT prep classes, Russian math, tutoring, families where the child doesn't have to babysit the siblings and can instead study. I concede that point. And those children should have access to academic success. So we have an educational program that favors the wealthy. We can think about changing it without actually hurting the underprivileged kids, not zero expectations so they never succeed. Like, you just have in your head this idea that one child who is told you need to watch your siblings while your parents work 3 jobs and make dinner, so don't worry about studying ever, because you'll pass anyway. Is that child going to do well in the world? What's that child going to be motivated to do when they say there's nothing, no standard you have to meet, just be a laborer for your family, do whatever you want, watch as much YouTube as you want. Again, this is not a problem of low expectations. It's a problem of no expectations. And once again, this bastardizing of the educational system came to us under the auspice of emergency. The standards were dropped during the pandemic, and it looks like in Oregon they will never come back, because what happens in 2028 when this extension, the 5-year extension, expires? Are they going to be like, oh, well, everyone's done much better now with no expectations, we can start testing them again? Of course not. It seems to me they will never start testing them again, never set standards again, much less standards of excellency. So now we have to collectively decide, especially as we think about America competing on the global scale, do we stand for excellence or do we stand for subpar? And maybe because we don't seem to be holding ourselves to high standards to compete in the global economy, that's why we need to bomb everyone else so that they can't compete either. Let us know what you think of this.
It's amazing. I wonder what these politicians are thinking, right? Because there's no emergency anymore. So what is the point of them extending this pandemic era provision to 2028? Under what auspices can they sit there and say, we need to extend it just simply because their test scores are low? Because
it's racist, because we can't expect underprivileged kids to meet these standards. Again, it's a textbook example of the bigotry of low expectations.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, you think about, you as a parent, do you want your child to have it easy? Because does that set them up for a successful life? Now, this is something we talk about all the time. Is like, we need to prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child. And I had a parent-teacher conference recently with something that my daughter was struggling with because she was moved into an advanced class, and the teacher said, do you want to move her back so that it's easier for her? And I was like, no, let her struggle. Let her fight for something. Let her know what this feels like, right? And if she doesn't succeed in the way she did in the other class, she'll know what it's like to work for someone. Why would I do that, right? As a parent, that's like the worst thing I could do is put her back where it's an easy A. And so
Einstein said he wasn't smarter than other people. He just he spent more time in the problem. He spent more time than other people did in the problem, working out the problem, doing the hard work, basically doing the hard work. So if Einstein can say, I'm not smarter than this person, I'm just putting in the time, the attention and effort to actually get the work done.
What were you going to say?
Well, I just wanted to say, if we were being completely honest, with this, and let's say it was actually a legitimate thing, it wouldn't be color, it would be class. Because it's a class of people, not a color of people that are having these issues. And I also blame the teachers. Teachers just aren't making things learnable, in my opinion. I mean, it's like you have teachers that are in there more focused on their TikToks than their students.
Well, there are many problems with public education in the United States, and we could break that down. But do we then just pull the rug under these students and say, well, there's too many problems, so we can't expect you to learn, so just show up, right? Yeah. And so then you think of it as a city taxpayer. What are you paying taxes for into the educational system if they are not going to produce an educated generation.
This is really going to be an exodus. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing an exodus of families from Oregon moving out of there saying, we're not going to put our kids through this school system anymore.
Right, because this is a cheap degree. It doesn't mean that they worked hard. It means nothing.
How are you going to go to university? People, universities are going to look, oh, you have a diploma from Oregon? Sorry.
Right.
This is worth, bring me a roll of toilet paper. That's probably worth more than
it's like
diploma.
Growing up in California, there was this lore about Chico State because it was such a party school that there was rumors that it would lose its accreditation because people were so committed to partying there. I don't know if that's true or not. It was just like the way that we talked about Chico. Like you could lose that a degree from Chico would be worth nothing, even if it's like a cheapened degree. Go ahead, David.
Well, I was going to say, this is like they have the mandates for the mask, and the masks cause speech impediments in children. And then all of a sudden this is like, they're like, okay, so all the children that got speech impediments from the mask wearing, we cannot help them speak well because goes against the mask mandate. So let's just send them through life with speech impediments because,
Yeah.
It's so.
I mean, I am going to suggest to you the book, The Coddling of the American Mind. This is a textbook example of this. We are coddling our children, and it will not go well for them. So let us know if you agree or disagree with our take on this.
I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger on, was it Joe Rogan the other day, or he was on Howard Stern or something. I saw it was suggested to me on YouTube, and he said, we're raising a nation of wimps. We're raising a nation of wimps right now. He's worried we're raising a nation of wimps, and I think it's so sad. We're just lowering the standard. Imagine like the pole vault or the high jump. Oh, you can't jump over that high jump? You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll just lower it about a foot. We're just going to chop off the top of it. We're just going to lower it about a foot.
Well, you'd lower it a foot, but then call it a foot higher.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it'll still be 7-Eleven, but we're going to lower it to 6-11 because you're a winner.
That's hilarious. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's a foot higher. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.